And improv comedian Colin Mochrie joins me now in studio. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You are such a familiar face in this country and many more. And you're known as kind of one of the greatest improv comedians that there is. Was comedy always kind of the plan when you were growing up, or no?
Oh, I mean, if you've looked at my career, you can see there's no plan. It just kind of worked out. I love comedy. I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Really?
And then I was dared to go into a school play. I got my first laugh, and that ended all science. And from then, I just made a very slow climb to middle stardom.
What did your middle stardom? No, I would say more than middle stardom. What did your family think about that when you're like, okay, I'm not going to do science anymore, not marine biology anymore, I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to make a living doing it.
It is marine biology, comedy. They weren't expecting a lot. So it worked out. And the fact that improv, when I was growing up, improv was not a thing. Nobody knew what improv was. So the fact that this sort of came into my life, and then this British show, Whose Line, took that one skill and managed to magnify it so I could get a career, I've been incredibly lucky.
There are a lot of, improv hotspots, Chicago, New York, LA, but you got your start right here in Toronto. Tell me about that in those early days.
Yeah, I was at the Second City. I was improvising in Vancouver, and my good friend Ryan Stiles got a job at Second City, so I followed him out here. He recommended me to the touring company director, who I ended up marrying 2 years later.
Oh, no way.
It was a tough audition. It was great. I mean, every night I was doing a show, and after every show we would do an improv set. So it really built up my muscle that way and helped me strengthen the weaker parts of my game.
So many great people came out of Second City. This one was when it was in the fire hall?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that time, and what kind of that period for comedy in Toronto was like?
At that point, it seemed like Second City was the only thing. Mike Myers was in the cast before me, and there was an excitement. When I was there, it was still the time where people were smoking in the theater,
right?
Throwing up in their drinks. So it was, and there was sometimes there was a real combat feel to it. But it was very vibrant, and it was very exciting and very inspiring.
Do you find that people expect you, because your brand is improv and comedy, just to be funny all the time when you meet them? Is that annoying?
It is. I mean, my wife calls the guy on Whose Line the other, because it is so not me. She's the funny one. Deb is the storyteller. She's the life of the party. I like to just sit back and sort of listen to people's stories. So it is difficult, especially when they say, tell me a joke. And it's like, I don't do jokes.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me an occupation.
So I've heard this before, that some comedians are like extroverted when they have to be for their job, but they're introverts. How would you describe yourself?
I'm definitely an introvert.
Really?
Once I'm on stage, then it's a whole different beast takes over for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's a world where I know what I'm doing, I'm working with people I trust, and I know it's going to work out. And I don't have that in life.
It's your comfort zone.
It is.
Yeah. Another role that you've taken on beyond comedian is as a trans rights advocate. And I know that your daughter, Kinsley, you've spoken publicly with her about, trans rights. When you look at what's happening in this country, in some places, there's a big talk about what's going on in Alberta. How do you feel about that, and are you troubled?
Yes, I am troubled. When Kinley first came to us to say she was transitioning, the very first thing that we thought about was her safety.
Right.
And this is the best time ever for this to happen, which is sad because there's still farther to go. But people there are activists, people who are supporting. A lot of this comes from true ignorance and not knowing what anything is. These are people. They're just people. They want what we want. They want to be their true selves. They want to be happy. They want to live life. And that's it.
Well, so why do you think right now the trans conversation is part of the culture wars that are going on, and it's really been politicized?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think a lot of it just has to do with fear of the unknown. It's something different, so people are scared. And once you're scared of anything, then politics seems to go into it and sort of amplifies it. misinforms about it and makes it something more than it is.
And so, you know, where do you see this going? Are you worried about the future, particularly in this country when it comes to trans rights? And have you spoken to your daughter about this?
Oh, she's very active in educating people and fighting for things. I find I'm hopeful for the future. When she was first transitioning, all of the people her age, her friends, when we told them, they would go, "That's great, congratulations." And all people our age went, "How are you doing?" So I was very sort of inspired, thinking of all these young people seem to be welcoming, and I'm hoping that the youth will carry on.
Your latest project is called Improv?
Improv.
Improv. Tell me about that. What does that mean? What's Improv?
It's insane. It's I work with a hypnotist, Asad Mekki.
Yeah.
He asks for 20 volunteers. He hypnotizes them, gets it down to the best 4 or 5, and then they and I start an instant improv troupe and do an improv show.
Okay, and are there plants in the audience or no?
No plants. This is I mean, it's wonderful in a way that we've combined 2 art forms that people are skeptical about and put them in one area. I mean, when I came into this, I wasn't really skeptical, but I didn't know a lot about hypnosis, and I was wrong with a lot of information.
Right.
They're not unconscious the entire time. They look like they're sleeping, but they're aware of everything. When I improvise with them, they'll reference a scene that happened 4 scenes before they weren't in. They just have no self-criticism. So they immediately just react to everything Asad and I say.
So did you think that hypnotism was a real thing before you got connected with this hypnotist?
I did.
Yes.
I wasn't sure, because there seems to be a difference between stage hypnotism and they use hypnotism to do hand surgeries in this hospital in Florida. They use it in a lot of medical ways. But with, I know stage hypnotism has a bit of a thing to it, but through this process, Yes, I've accepted it.
You've accepted it. And I know that kind of came about in a weird way. He just emailed your manager, and you looked at the pitch, and you're like, yeah, let's try this.
Yeah, he did a cold call. My manager said, it sounds interesting. He set up a meeting, and within 5 minutes, I thought, yeah, because I've been doing this for a long time, and my worry is getting comfortable. I find I do my best when I'm outside of my comfort zone and struggling to survive. And I thought, no better way than working with people I don't know who are hypnotized.
And so what have been some interesting things that have happened on stage while the hypnotism is going on?
What I love about them is they have no sense of working towards the end of a scene. There's just this moment. So they just give you weird information. We had a scene where I was a superhero looking for a sidekick. And I said, his name was the Gibraltar Kid. And I said, okay, so what's your power? Do you turn into a rock? He goes, no, I have residency in Gibraltar. So if anything happens there, I can take care of it. I said, so your superpower is you can work in the place where you live? And he went, yeah. That is a choice that a, quote, real improviser would not make. It's just out there and bizarre. Have you ever gone under hypnotic influence yourself? Yeah, I had Asad hypnotize me, and because I thought, well, what the heck? I hate writing. I have like 15 first acts of amazing things, but I never finish them. So I said, hypnotize me and give me suggestions so I can finish something. And I did. I did within the month. You know how you say that you always want to push your comfort zones to the max. How are you going to do that in the next chapter? Oh. Why are you asking me these questions? I don't know. I don't know. How am I going to push myself? I don't know, and that's the beauty. I mean, like 6 years ago, I wouldn't have thought, I would be working with a hypnotist. Yeah. So who knows what the future holds? There's so many people out there experimenting with different ways to use improv. I've done an improvised D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and I know nothing about that game. So I was thrown into this game. They gave me all my characteristics, things like that. I have so much fun because I just panic and just whatever happens, happens. There you go. You still go to Second City sometimes to check in on how the young kids are doing? Yeah, it's really depressing in that you think when you leave Second City it's going to fall apart, and they always find amazing people. And they have an amazing cast right now. I suggest go see the show. It's great. And you have been an inspiration to many of them, I am sure. Colin Mochrie, appreciate you coming in. Oh, thank you so much for having me. Cheers.